beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to this Ascension update, which will focus around shifting timelines. There will be lots of interesting information shared in this video, and the sound isn't perfect this time. It's all I got. I'm near a body of water. These are very intense days because we are anchoring the 888 gateway, the Syrian Lion's Gate portal, which activated a lot of this new, which is coming in as a stream of new light influx. The cosmic energies are building up as always, and with this you might feel more guided to have that inner retreat, inner contemplation time, because during such times as the gateway opens, we're receiving a lot of new inner insights, like inner revelations about your path, about your purpose, things that can be very deep. So this video will be very specifically focused on some things around the nature of shifting timelines, and I'm going to be talking and sharing them, just as how Spirit provides through my inner sharing, so as I go about my way. What I've noticed, the first thing I wish to share is that there's still this sense in humankind, in the human consciousness, almost like this implanted perception that to be in direct communication and alignment, which does lead to your inner integration and embodiment of your I am presence, it's almost something unattainable, unreachable. So I was spending some time with a friend of mine, and he said to me something like, how did you receive this light activation? How does this come to you? And did you prepare this? Because I always just sit there and it comes like right away. I just know what to say. It's just there, and it's not something separate from me. So while this is the case for me, and it always has been so since my awakening, a lot of beings think that, when we channel, it's natural and it can be attainable, reachable. But to say, no, I'm just accessing this from my inner state of being, my I am, it can be almost like, what? Really? Is that possible? Because there's almost like this sense that what is most natural to us? Because, okay, we can be telepathically connected to different states of awareness and different beings and the multiversal consciousness of all and the cosmos. And of course, but it's even more natural for you to connect to your beingness, to your prime creation self, and to your I am presence. So when we have those, sometimes the mind thinks this way in terms of separation. It's almost like, okay, how is this possible? I would rather choose something that's channeled because it makes more sense. How can someone just, channel their own I am presence as something like nobody can achieve? And this is what's keeping us separate, because we postpone it to this period in time and space when we're going to be so evolved and, I don't know where in our state of awareness. But the thing is that there's a lot of us who already are in this consciousness. And this means that we are bringing forth an activation that is seeding itself on this planet. So what I wish to share here is something Spirit shared with me today, because I was pondering and reflecting, as I always do, about these things, and the nature of why sometimes we so wish to belong and put ourselves in a certain box in terms of what spirituality is right now, what people are doing, those people who are sharing things of spiritual nature, doing spiritual things, having workshops, lectures, teachings. And we think we need to go and follow that stream of consciousness, otherwise it's not spiritual, or it's not something that looks grandiose and beautiful and very enlightened on the outside. But what Spirit showed me today is that it's almost like during the times when Joshua was here, and this was almost 2,000 years ago, well, basically 2,000 years ago when that was being seeded. And some beings, and I'm not talking about large numbers, of course, these are very few beings, prime creation beings. We're here to actually seed the consciousness that is not yet going to be as it is on this planet. It's going to come further along because the seed always needs to be planted first. So you come here with a certain specific alignment, with a certain tantric energy flow, because Tantra is the basic Kundalini of a certain type of awareness. So we're saying now that the Kundalini of our planet is shifting to a certain other geographical location. It means that the whole Kundalini consciousness of the planet is rising up, and there's those few core creation beings who are assisting that assignment. And their first prime assignment will be connected with the planet. It's going to be planetary positioning and purpose. But a lot of times we're not satisfied with just that, and we don't trust our path. And if you're one of those Ascension pioneers who've been put on this position, and you're always trying to figure out where you belong, what you're supposed to be doing, how are you supposed to fit in with the main spiritual stream and the media and, you know, YouTube channels or whatever it is. So then you need to know that your path will be highlighted and very specifically laid out in front of you. And we had this talk also that, you know, cosmos, when you look at it like that, it's a lot of chaos. And because we can't just travel, you know, through all this chaos, like purposelessly, and just go here, go there, go about there, we need that kind of structured plan. We call this the divine plan of perfection, which actually sets all divine purposes in motion. This perfection of the connection that really comes from the levels which are eternal. They know no space and time. So what this means is that your purpose is always felt when you are activated in this core presence, in this knowing part of the self. And whatever is partial to it, whatever is of fragments of that, which become more like separate parts of the consciousness, which in overall is one, is all, is unified. And then these parts carry out different tasks and assignment and whatever it is. But what's happening now with a lot of us is there's this shift to be without the need to do. Which means, it doesn't mean you're now not creative, you're not doing, you're not bringing your soul into form. Because there's a difference between not being grounded and working with energies on a higher level and then bringing them into matter, into form, and merging, of course, spirit and matter as one. So those of us who are really on the path of soul embodiment, ensoulment, and this physical ascension, we know that this is something different than to work for things and for there to be this desire to always produce something. So now what Spirit is showing me is there's this need to really tap into this core creation self and to just really, really embrace it. So what I've been shown today is the seeding of consciousness, which actually shifts timelines, but it doesn't make it so right away. So you say, okay, I've activated this knowing within me, but why isn't it directly so in my physical awareness, presence, or the people that are around me, or the people who are following me, or the people who are my friends, or the people who are my community, or just, you know, intimate family, it doesn't matter. It's because not everything is meant to shift right away, because we know no time in this eternal space. So if you'd ask me if I come from the future as a being of light, I wouldn't really feel that, because I come from the realms of illumination which know no space and time, so they're already eternal. The truth is one there at those realms. And that's why when you remember your purpose this way, you know that there is no sense of you doing something that you don't initially and originally feel anyway. So how do we shift timelines? Well, everything in creation has to do with planting seeds. Creation beings know that the seed will go towards where there's the most potential. So prime creation beings, they choose the timeline where there will be most fulfillment of that potential. And eventually that potential will self-realize, and this is where there is no sense of control or dominance, or we own this project, we made it so. It has to, you know, be this way in a certain time period. So shifting timelines has more to do with you knowing what kind of seeds you're planting and knowing that these seeds are sprouting at their own time in creation. There is no time. So I'm going to give you an example. If I am here holding the light for this planet and for the certain prototype, so we are all experiments. I've shared this with you before in a way. Those of you who are star seeds and those of you who are in this path of, you know, you have come from a level of awareness which you can't feel on this planet yet. You are the predecessors of that consciousness that you're bringing and bearing here. So this means that you already are chosen to shift these timelines in your way, and Spirit will show you how this will unfold for you. So shifting timelines includes everything from relationships to every choice in your life in a way shifts timelines, and I'm going to give you some examples towards the end. So what this means is that let's go back to my current example, is that if I am here set as an example of how certain consciousness can be in physical human form, but primarily this is energetically not tapped into a lot of individuals, or it's mostly not embodied yet, this doesn't mean that the timeline shift hasn't occurred. the physical reality follows. The physical reality follows everything that's already happening ethereally. So when you understand the laws of creation, you know all of this. And if that was the case, then that would be my prime core creation purpose, and all the rest would just emanate from it, but it's not a separate thing from that core creation purpose. And when you understand this, you only have to trust it. That means you completely trust your own setting and how you yourself function within your own creatrix, and how you shift timelines within your own consciousness, and the activation of each awareness that comes to you. That's why it's so important on this path of physical ascension to have the proper amount of downtime, of integration, of contemplation, and to really activate that which we know, then to make it physical, to ground it. Because one thing is to live here and never really bringing it down to the matter. And it's not the same, like I said, to not be grounded or to have this work that involves working with higher energies, which eventually they do become physical, because you already have encapsulated this body, or physically you've chosen to do this work in your body. So, Joshua was an experiment like this as well, because he came here at a time which was very dark, and what he taught and practiced and showed as a way shower, it wasn't really even his initial core purpose. The core purpose was to plant those seeds that are now coming about, and now everybody is unfolding and blossoming to this, what we call the Christed consciousness. He was that planting of the Christed seed at that time. Now the consciousness is mostly, in some ways, with the light working movement, the balance workers movement is there. But because nothing is static, we're also having another set of these seeds that are already planting for, this is how it is in the law of non-time. So when you understand this, you will no longer feel the need to do something, to make sense to what you're saying, what you're sharing as a pioneer, to how you need to be, what you need to do, what you need to achieve, because in the sense of true enlightenment, there is no achievement, because you realize in the end that you are powerless in that sense. So your power lies in enlightening yourself and becoming a physical template, this form that will become fully Christed, and will have the knowledge and the seeing that maybe not everybody will, but you will be the predecessor of that. That's why I call this beings Ascension pioneers. And this means the actual embodiment. How many people watch the videos actually understand them? Understanding comes from within. And then from those people, how many people then with that understanding actually embody that understanding? So for me, what Spirit shows me is from now on, we're moving from that space of being bombarded with information, seeking answers on the outside and confirmation. And sometimes people say to me, you're one of my favorite beings who I follow, and they're like this and this and that, and I'm thinking, okay, I get it, but it's still showing us that we are not trusting ourselves. We rather go for the information outside of ourselves, and this is something I don't do. I'm primarily focused on my I am presence. So when people say, how is that possible? How can you just utter these words without preparing them, thinking about them 5 minutes prior to this? Because they can't understand it if they haven't even tried it themselves. That's the case, that's the point. So what I'm trying to share here is that sometimes people think, and I see in how they correspond with me, that I'm just this girl sitting here sharing some videos, sharing some of my experiences. The reason why I share it through experiential knowledge is because my life is a teaching tool for others, and that's it. That's what embodiment means. I can have knowledge. Everybody can have knowledge. Knowledge can be gained. You can go to a faculty and study, and you can gain lots of knowledge very quickly. But how does it mean? How, for you in this moment, how do you apply it? How do you really bring it into your form and to really anchor it into every aspect of your life? And this is what soul embodiment, this is where it comes at to this level. So what Spirit showed me is this era for lots of pioneers is ending. And those people will feel the shift. It will feel more introverted, but at the same time, it won't feel introverted like in the sense of your prime awakening, where you only wanted to be with your source and alone, and you didn't want to move out into the world or the public or the mainstream media, or you didn't want to go out into the world. People still sometimes have this avoidance. They don't like the mass. They don't like groups. They don't like, mass bodies of people there. But sometimes I'm drawn to go there because I know my seed needs to go there to just be alive there, to just plant those seeds. And love, it's all love. Nothing is separate. So love is a factor that was missing for quite a long time. And we've been pursuing information for so long, and you know, if you've been following me, that I've been sharing so much about this, that this path was very extreme to some measures, to some amounts, into what we pursue only as light, 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 light. It even was called the light working movement instead of also love light movement, so both, which cultivates wisdom. And I'm seeing that what prevents us from being in this universal wisdom and knowing it all is just saying it's possible. How can it not be if I am birthed? I'm born of this universal wisdom. But we rather still pursue it somewhere outside of us. And then it's not conformed right away. It's not confirmed. You know, let's say I receive something from Spirit right away by just the words I say to myself. And then the part of me that wouldn't trust would say, now Spirit, give me a sign that this is right. The mere fact that I have channeled this through myself, it's not even channeled, it just flows through me, through my being. It's already a direct, indication that that was sourced for me. It was so much in the moment, and sometimes I see because people wait for this perfect moment to come, instead of knowing that the moment is already here, because you're existing in the moment is the mere indication that the moment is already here, you created it. So we don't yet fully understand the principles of creation, and sometimes our distortions are influencing this. And I see sometimes people can't really clearly see through everything is because there was a lot of implants in human consciousness. So discernment is missing because it's almost like there were these filters that would prevent you from really reading the energy of the truth. What does this mean? Truth, when it's recognized, it's illogical. You know, sometimes people say, how would you know, for example, that this person's telling the truth? You probably have to watch 100 videos of them to know that this is the truth that they're saying. Why? Because the first thing they'll be saying, maybe first few minutes, or just one video is enough. You already feel, because the truth is vibration. It's not even a vibration, but you vibrationally, you as a vibration being will feel it. When you know the truth because you've already remembered the truth, and you know what it is not, and that is love, and you know what doesn't align with love, and how love expresses itself, you know it, because you know truth. And when there's a lack of thereof, you will recognize, and will come through frequential alignment. It will be felt. You won't always have the mental capacity and understanding to explain it and say, I won't resonate with this, what this person is saying, for example, because, and you'll try to explain it, it's already egoic because you're trying to think it through. It's just you saying, there might be some truths, which are of course partial truths, but I can't feel the alignment of truth here. And you don't need 100 videos. But why people need this is because they have lots of these implants that are there, and they can't see this higher vision. They can't see with their internal eye that is unified. Let thy eye be single, right? The eye of God, the divine eye of the logic that is so perfect within the divine plan of perfection. So I remember a few years back when I got my first starseed confirmation reading, and the woman was saying to me that I have this galactic core, and I have, I think, Neptune there. And she said, you have psychic abilities and knowing abilities and seership that other people don't have. But I saw it as a future potential for what people can develop. And as I said, we first have to know how truth feels. And we can't do that before remembering. That's where divine remembrance of the truth signature is first. And truth knows its source. Truth speaks on its own. And you don't need tons of confirmation to know. And sometimes people wrote to me and they asked me, what's your opinion about this or this and that person? And it's almost like they were trying to validify what they already felt inside. And that feeling does not come through the mind. You know, you don't do that. And once I had this dream when a certain being, and it's not important, came to me and they said something to me. It was very hostile. And I instantly felt that that being is not yet an enlightened being, because enlightened being does not speak in a hostile, confronting approach to you. And they would, for example, ask you, they would say, why do you do it this way? Or why would you do this in that way? They wouldn't confront you, almost like it comes out as a threat. And this is how you recognize vibration of something not being a truth. And when you do, the matrix starts to crack, literally. And those aspects that are not enlightened yet, they're not at their source awareness yet, will start to slowly disintegrate and dissolve. So, okay, coming back to shifting of the timelines. that I wish to present here. This was, I know it was a long introduction, but I felt it was much guided and needed. So to shift timelines, what I mean here is that every aspect of your awareness, which is, in a way, it supersedes what is, and it's coming from something that yet wasn't. And one example recently I've seen is these massive events that happen collectively. And one of these events recently was the death of a certain lion. I think it was called Cecil. And this lady made a video about this and what it really represents in the highest aspect, from the higher perspective, which was an event that had to go viral so that people's consciousness would shift in the way we treat animals and the way we see things and what we need, because we need to fund certain things, you know, that will propel us to the next level in our system and how it's structured. And it really was a beautiful sharing, because that's what it is. And these are all timeline shifters. You know, to have a viral event, sometimes our minds would think it's terrible what's happening, it's really terrible, but you have so many people and something going viral overnight. You have to know that it doesn't just happen without a specific deeper purpose behind it. And that's when we know that the thing has a purpose, without we say, oh, something was in vain, death was in vain. You know, this is what happened, because we see it from a very low perspective. And then when we see what time shifting is and how this reality in our physical ascension, and of course the planet is ascending, that's why most of us as pioneers are here. We're here for the planet, it's planetary ascension. So we start to understand those things, and not just that, we start to utilize them in our own way. So the Kundalini of the planet is rising with these shifts. Our own Kundalini is rising, and when we work with our inner Tantra, and you can learn much more about this in my mastery courses, especially the one with soul alchemy and sacred sexuality, because I explain how to utilize your Tantra there. And when you know how to work with that, you will really start to understand that you don't have to do so much, but energetically you're actually, when you're lifting yourself, which is your only job, is to really become fully enlightened. And with that, all the rest is already aligning around you. Your job is not to convince others, is not to push others, is not to make others know what you know. Because let's say they're not, you know, let's say certain people are not choosing that in their lifetime, you can't make them. It's almost like if you know how manifestation works, and sometimes you're just trying to go against the flow and really manifest something and it doesn't happen. And then you forget about it, you just go on your way, you're aligned with where you are right now, you completely embrace the moment, and then something beautiful happens. There's your manifestation. Because when the time is right, that shift, that timeline shift already created a ripple. And then you simply attune to it, and you're just really living your life, and you're already co-creating with it, you're flowing, and then you see how this works. So our job is not really to change the world. Our job is to plant the seeds of love, is to plant the seeds of awareness, and watch with such awe and reverence and magnificence how this world is changing, how it's transforming because of our love, because of our dedication. You know, when I really started to work mostly with embodiment. In the beginning, when I started with Ascension Pioneers, I used to write a lot. There was frequent articles all the time, so many videos. And then I was more guided to this introverted path of inner work, to just really embody the soul on all levels. And with that, I actually started to notice changes on a deeper level, because before all this knowledge was here, but then you bring it into form and life starts to blossom right in front of your eyes. And this is what's supposed to happen with the planetary ascension and shifting these timelines. So this brings me to the topic of relationships. So recently I was spending time with someone, and we really managed to open up some amazing energies, like waves. And this is something that still concerns a lot of people. They ask me what I feel about relationships, because a lot of people in this path have been kind of isolating themselves. They thought, okay, I'm going to dedicate myself only to my ascension, and they forget that the part of ascension is relationships, because it's all ascending. So the beings will naturally come to your path, and how you vertically align the horizontal with your true core essence in your path. And it does happen through these mirrored destined relationships that come in your life. And the part of us that maybe already sees this perfection and how it's supposed to be will not sometimes want to go into a relationship, or you'll think, oh, it was difficult before, it will be difficult again, so much to do, I'd rather stay alone, or you know, I don't do this, or this person's not for me. And when someone's there and it's very obvious, they're already there for you, they're already part of your creation in either way we embrace it or not. And the moment we embrace it, we're going to receive major unlockings. It's almost like codes are going to be unlocked. Ripples will actually be occurring. So did you ever think about the fact that engaging in relationships is also part of shifting timelines? And I've noticed this is the moment we engage with life horizontally, which includes our relationships, you change, you blossom in front of your eyes. And we have these, again, preconceived notions that, okay, the one I meet now has to be the right one, or has to be my twin flame, it has to be this way. And the first person comes along, wow, this must be my twin flame. And this is how most people think still. And I know I can't generalize it, just see when people respond and how they correspond that this is the case with many beings. And we really have forgotten this nature of seeds that are planting in their own way, and the path that it's unfolding, and these steps that we are to walk through as an initiative light, initiative spirit. And when we embrace this, and when we understand that relationships are also these timeline shifters, we will create beautiful things, because we'll be moving into a relationship only with the consciousness of what this will activate for the greater good of all. Not what I can benefit from it. How can I benefit from it? Well, of course you will, and the whole world will, just because you did. But you're no longer looking at it from a selfish point of view. You're looking at it from, how can I assist life by participating more deeply with it, by being more intimate with life. And this will start to unlock these potentials, these gateways through timeline shifting. So everything you do, every choice you make already shifts timelines. But there's something important I need to share here is, because all timelines are already converging in the 0 point field. Sometimes we think that, sometimes people think this way. Let's say, I created this choice, so now I created this way. There's no more possibility this will shift, and now it's always going to be this way, because this is how it was. Maybe with this person or in this situation. And we see like this dead end, this gray zone. And okay, now we need a new relationship to fix this. And we have this perspective of fixing things instead of shifting things. It's a different perspective altogether. So what's really the case here is that in the infinity of love and in the eternity of light, in that truth space, the truth resides. When you really shift timelines, you're actually just converging deeper. And you know, I have a workshop of cosmic convergence and all these timelines and realities and many different perspectives. You can apply for the workshop or contact me. And what this is what's happening now. And those of us who are really moving into this 0 space field, we're just desiring to live our life, to just live in the flow of the now and see what happens, where it flows. We're watching, we're observing the energy as a neutral observer, seeing how it flows. Let's say you have a relationship, and as you're co-creating it, you're participating, you're being so conscious. Every word you're going to say, every action, there's more love behind it, but not controllingly thinking, I need to be this way so that my reality can shift. Because sometimes people say, I need to fix this, I need to become aware right now, otherwise my whole future will be blocked, or I'll be blocked. And again, this comes from lack of love, because in truth, love is infinite, and you cannot miss out an opportunity. You cannot be always blocked just because you think you did something wrong. The only perspective there is that the things you do are in the moment, and you're choosing, and everything is choice in the moment, but there's always another moment. So this is the nature of creation. It's the divine oppositions, the feminine and masculine prime forces of creation have separated in order to always come back again, and they're breathing together, they're pulsating with life. And so we make a choice, we come into this perspective, we're looking at it, we're observing, and then we're making it again, we're going deeper into it. Not always will be guided to plunge right in, but when we will, it will change, it will be different. And what I mean by this is that when we see that each relationship is a gift, not just to ourselves, but the whole of creation, we will see that by joining forces with another, we're actually opening new tantric gateways that are in harmonic correspondence with these gateways with the planet. And just by participating with it, we're already creating massive shifts. So a lot of us are doing work now on levels that cannot be seen. So when people can't see it, they think you're basically not doing anything. And it's true, you're not doing, because doing a lot of times comes from this perspective of trying. But you're doing so much on levels that most can still can't even comprehend. Because you're becoming more aware of these subtle realms and energies, and you can see in your physical life, your life becomes your greatest teaching tool. This is all you need in shifting timelines. Is look at your reality. How did it change from 1 week ago or just yesterday? And see how good of timeline shifter you are, because you'll notice instant changes, instant manifestations sometimes, the moment you unlock another potential. And sometimes, or most times, it will come through relationship energy, because that's where, you know, Spirit showed me is sometimes, you know, we can be the most evolved being who, you know, you have mastered your inner tantra. But in this creation world, with the polarized opposites need to exist in order to create creation. Otherwise, there's no polarity, there's no creation. There's just source. There's just eternity. There's no infinity. So these two prime creation forces come together, and that's when your tantra actually, you can lift it up, you can raise it up in a totally different way. So coming together, two beings who are in their rising of the column of light, they will feel that, and they will keep creating this triangulation energy. As you know, 1 + 1 is 3, not 2, because there's a triangulation, third energy being birthed. So we shift timelines the most when we are in this third energy, this divine trinity, and we will feel it because it will come to us either through this birthing of new consciousness, of having these higher perspectives, such as, you know, perspectives on these events that are taking place that our human mind can always comprehend. It comes to relationships that are a gift from your own divine self, that will help you to not just, people say, oh, you need to open your chakras, but they're already open. You just, what we're doing now, we're no longer just opening chakras. You know, this work is passé. This has been done. We're actually just continuously rising up the level of energy, and to be able to maintain it, to hold that level. This is what this embodiment means. So we don't constantly need to, let's say, use different words to describe how the Ascension energies work. It's simple. It's very simple, and I explain this in my Ascension self-empowerment course, in my mastery courses, how this works. It's a three-folded process. It's a very simple understanding of the nature of physical ascension. And when you do, you have your focus there. And then you know that your job is only to lift those energies up, to become the being of radiance, of magnificence. No matter which timeline you feel you're living now physically, you are doing the work with your own inner realm shifting and your timeline shifting for what you were chosen for. And that's what starts to matter the most to you. Without feeling this need to be somewhere else, to be understood, to be famous with what you're doing, to be understood with what you're doing, none of this matters. To beings who are truly devoted to planetary ascension, none of this really matters. And a lot of us love to do our work from behind, anyway, behind the scenes, and I love doing that. And to live your life peacefully, to create your own heaven on earth. Because when you do, you're walking with golden footsteps on the planet, literally. And this work is most highly valued and appreciated, because it's not a work of trying to go against creation, of trying to change things, of trying to change everybody, but enlightening yourself so you can be the biggest gift to the world by being in your core angelic creation self. So I hope this video made some sense. Every choice in your life, remember, shifts timelines, but it doesn't have to be controlled. You're under no pressure. You're under no limitation and time limit, anything like that. Just embrace what really is felt through you at every moment that you're being offered, and it is a gift. Every breath is a gift. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for participating in any way, for sharing, donating, sharing your stories and experiences. It means a lot. Giving your feedback, and maybe of what you would wish to hear. And let's see if, if that is synchronized and what I desire to bring through for it with spirit. And I'll talk to you soon again. So much love, wisdom, and power. And may the light of the One always be manifested through you.